Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your master of ceremonies today, a member of the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame, the voice of the USC Trojans, and the president of the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Association. Here's Pete Arbogast.
And thank everyone for being here today for our 33rd Southern California Sports Broadcasters Awards ceremony. We have what we think is an exciting and busy program for you today, and we'll get right to it. First, I would like to give you a word about this great organization, started by a who's who of sportscasters in our area back in 1958 in order to allow equal access for the electronic media, as that was not the case back then. In those days, the print media got to go into the locker rooms first after games, and then when they were done, the electronic media would go in. But our fellow broadcasters felt that that was not fair and went to the Dodgers' Walter O'Malley and asked for a change, and with great foresight he agreed, and the rest is history. Nowadays, our club meets here once a year to honor those great voices who fill our airways today and in years past, and those who help keep our business strong. We now meet during the year, however, at various sports venues to spend time together with not only each other, but with friends and families. We've been honored to be given tickets to games this past year to go see the Dodgers and the Angels, the Anaheim Ducks, USC football and men's and women's basketball, and UCLA men's and women's basketball. This year, we'll be seeking a trip to see the Sparks, perhaps a soccer game, UCLA football, the Clippers, maybe even a Rams or Chargers preseason contest, along with our yearly visits to Dodger and Anaheim stadiums. And there's a sports movie coming out in March, and I'm in negotiations with the producers to get some tickets to go see that. The movie is a baseball show called EFIS. That'll be coming out sometime in March, so we'll be looking forward to going to that. If you want first crack at our tickets for these events, you need to sign up to be a sustaining and paid voting member for 2025. Our membership opens up again later this week for this year. It's a minimum donation of $25 to become a voting member, which gives you a chance to not only vote on the year-round on-air awards for the year, but also to help nominate possible future Hall of Famers. You may, and many certainly do, donate much more than $25. And we ask that if you are doing very well in the business, that you go ahead and do so, because the money goes to putting on not only this award show, but the Chris Roberts Memorial Student Scholarship Fund to help a student who would like to continue their education in our field. So please, when you get our email, donate at least the $25, but more if you can. Our thanks to a few people today. Longtime radio great in town here, Jhani Kaye, who sets up and runs all of our audio and visual. Bonnie Burrow is our official club photographer and has been for some 25 years. We thank the great Justin Dado, our member liaison here at Lakeside Golf Club. And also to Caitlin Sugarman and Amanda Casillas, who run the events here at Lakeside. And while we're at it, thanks to our great group of cooks and wait staff who helped set up the room today and serve our food and clear our tables. Great thanks to all of them. I work with a fun bunch of friends and fellow sportscasters who act as our volunteer board of directors. We've been together as a board for a few years and enjoy each other's company and friendship immensely. One of those, Josh Schaefer, was a high schooler at El Camino Real High School in Woodland Hills when he first attended this event 8 or 9 years ago. He's not here today. He is on the road. He is the acting radio play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Kings. He, along with Clippers radio man Carlo Jimenez, among others, represent the best, I think, in young sportscasting in our country and the future of sportscasting, certainly here in Southern California. The others are all here today, and they will be coming onto the stage later on to help hand out awards. A mover and shaker in the world of women's sportscasters here at Southern California, Ms. Deb Carson. Deb. The voice of the Cal State Northridge Matadors, Mr. Ghazal Hassan. Play-by-play voice for women's soccer locally here in town, and also a major contributor to AM 570, Mr. Isaac Lowenkron. And play-by-play voice down in Orange County mainly, voice of the Fullerton Titans more than anything else, I think. That's Mr. Michael Martinez. Mike, there you are. Let's have a hand for all of our board of directors, please. I would like to introduce the Hall of Famers who are here in attendance that I am sure of today. and have them stand up and be recognized. First of all, Joe Calla. There he is right there, Joe. Joe, the old joke is stand up, will you? I'm standing, all right. Great longtime sportscaster here in Southern California, Hall of Famer Jim Hill. Jim? And longtime voice of the Lakers, Mr. Pepe Yniguez. I do need to address a serious issue, something that happened at last year's Southern California Sports Broadcasters Awards breakfast. Some comments made by one of those who was receiving an award here were somewhat shocking to hear. Some of those comments were not only possibly incorrect, but also hateful and anti-Semitic. The Southern California Sports Broadcasters Association Board of Directors denounces those kinds of comments and hopes and believes that our general membership feels the same way. There's no place, not only in this organization, but in the world in general, for hateful speech towards any group at any time. And we at the SCSB stand for diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as peace and goodwill at all times. We do not, of course, pre-edit anyone's comments before they accept awards. In good faith, we trust that each of you who come up here to the stage or in future years will keep your comments positive in nature for all to enjoy, in keeping with the spirit of this event. A wise man once said, before speaking, it is generally good to ask, will this comment help or hurt someone? And if the answer is generally it will not hurt, then it's okay. And if it won't help, then don't say it. There's a big difference between total honesty and dysfunctional discourse. Many people were shocked and hurt by those comments. We at the SCSBA strongly apologize for that having had happened, and that you had to witness it if you were here. Thank you for your patience for that. In Southern California also, we have been hit with tragic wildfires that burned down so many homes and businesses, neighborhoods, and memories for friends here, including many of the people who are sitting with us here today. Everyone almost knows for sure some people or families who've been infected one way or the other. We know many of you personally went out and joined the ranks of volunteers who helped out of the days during and after the fires, and we thank you for your efforts. And of course, thank the firefighters and the fire and police department personnel who worked so long and those hours that they put in to do what they could for those who needed it the most. We urge you to continue to help our friends and neighbors and total strangers as they try to pick up their lives, and we heartily thank all of those who serve the general public and to those of you who have volunteered your time, talents, and personal will in helping out. With that, we forge ahead and on with the show. Our first award today goes to the person or team that presented the Southern California sports world with the greatest achievement of the year. It was not a difficult choice for 2024. Not an individual award this year as it was a year ago, but a team award. Would someone from the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers please come up to accept the Southern California Sports Broadcasters 2024 Sports Achievement of the Year Award for the Dodgers World Championship. Next, the Southern California Sports Broadcasters would like to bestow our Vin Scully Lifetime Achievement Award on Dodger radio man Mr. Charley Steiner. A 1971 graduate of Bradley University, which also gave us a few other greats like Hall of Famers Chick Hearn, Ralph Lawler, and Tom Kelly. Charley, like so many of us, worked in small-town radio in his early career before landing a job in Cleveland, then only 7 years out of college. He got a job in New York, and that's called beating the spread. He did play-by-play with the Jets in the USFL also before joining ESPN in 1988. We all remember, of course, the great promos, "Follow Me to Freedom," and Evander Holyfield looking for Charley in the hallways at ESPN and looking to give him a whooping. For ESPN, he did baseball's All-Star Game, playoffs, and then the World Series, and also play-by-play for the Yankees. Boo. Okay. He joined the Dodgers in 2005, and Charley's been with them for 20 years. Pretty good years, most of these Dodger years have been. He was Mike's side, of course, as the Dodgers won the World Series in 2020. A multi-time New York and New Jersey award winner, the Bradley School of Sports Communications is named for him. Named to the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2013, and the 2021 Southern California Sports Broadcasters Chick Hearn Award winner as the best play-by-play man in town during the COVID year of 2020, a most difficult task, to be sure. Last year, Charley didn't feel very good health-wise. He didn't get to work a ton, but everyone was always glad to see him when he could be at the ballpark. We hope and pray for more from him in 2025 in his efforts in his long road back. Ladies and gentlemen, for a life well lived and certainly a wonderfully full career in our business, the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Board of Directors confers the Vin Scully Lifetime Achievement Award upon Charley Steiner.
Thank you. I didn't expect to be here today for any number of reasons. I'm very proud to be here, very happy to be here. It's good to be here. After this past year, it's good to be anywhere. Just want to say a couple of things. One of the things that all of us have in common here today is Vin Scully. He's the reason why we are here. He is the reason why we have ended up doing what we have done, and he has been the reason for all of us who are here. He's Vin. You know, there's no second name necessary. I was very lucky. As a child, I would listen to Vin as the Brooklyn Dodger announcer, and then goddamn Dodgers had to move to LA. They did. Here we are, and 20 years later, it's been a wonderful joy. You know, this past year was a lot more rugged than I thought it would be. This off-season has been much more challenging and yet rewarding than I expected it to be. And I've been very lucky. You know, in the 20 years that I've been with the Dodgers, a center fielder the Dodgers had for many years, and you know, I've been lucky enough that he's been my partner for those 20 years. He's a great human being, and I'm very lucky to have had him as my partner for this long period of time. And Joe, you should be so lucky in 20 years to feel the same way about whoever your partner will be in 20 years. But I love that guy, old 16. So I guess my point is that growing up in New York and then coming out here to be an announcer for the Dodgers, I never wanted to replace Vin. Never, ever did I ever want to do that. I just wanted to announce for the Dodgers, and I was very lucky to have been able to do that. And we're on the phone once or twice a week during the off season. We're on the phone almost every day this past year when I couldn't get out to the ballpark. But he's a great human being. He's a terrific broadcaster, and I can't wait until the 27th of March when the Dodgers and the Tigers play on opening day. Boy, nothing says opening day like the Dodgers and the Tigers. Compared to what I had this past year, that's nirvana. But I'm certainly looking forward to that. You know, and so again, I was lucky. I was able to do everything I wanted to do in broadcasting, up to and including announcing for the Dodgers, and both Brooklyn and Los Angeles. And I can't wait for opening day here. And I want to thank all of you who have been by my side one way or another for the last 20 years. It's been an absolute joy to do what I wanted to do as a kid, and that is to announce for the Dodgers. I was able to do that today, and I'm truly honored to have a chance to talk with you all today. Thank you very much.
Chris Roberts was a longtime president of this organization and a multi-award winner here as well, prior to his passing a few years ago. When that happened, we renamed the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Student Scholarship in his name. Here to present this year's award is Chris's son. Worked with his pop in the press box on UCLA broadcasts, still works there today. Please welcome Dave Lapierre.
I do have it here, right here, if you want. Oh, okay. I'm completely taken aback by when I walk in the room and I just see so many family friends, whether it's Wayne and Sue or, Mike, Joe Calla, Lou, who I'm sitting next to. Zal, all you guys, man. Ilo, Nick. I wish Matt and Josh were here as well. But the main thing that I guess that I want to impart on everybody is that, this is like a family, man. That's what this is. That's the way I see it. Broadcasting has just completely changed my life. It's completely changed all our lives. I think what Vin did, and have Vin being my dad's idol when my dad was growing up, he'd be listening to Vin with a transistor radio, falling asleep, listening to the Dodger games. And Charley, congrats on your award as well. I had the pleasure and the privilege of working with you when you were with ESPN Radio in 1999 doing the game with Wisconsin and Stanford. It was a pleasure to meet you, man, and it's a pleasure to see you up here, man, and it's really awesome, man. So congratulations on what you've achieved, and it's a pleasure to see you and have you here. And with that being said, our winner is a senior at Castaic High School, who's involved in multimedia production of sports-related events and plans to major in sports media in college. And, I hope this changes your life too, and that it takes you in that right direction. I've had the chance to just meet you just now and talk to you for a little bit, and I know it will, and it'll change your life just like it's changed mine. And you could have this wonderful group of people, this wonderful group of friends, probably, in my opinion, probably the best broadcasters and the best broadcasting crew in the entire world coming out of Southern California and being a part of this group. And that's my opinion. I know my dad felt the same way, and he would actually love it. I feel him and Vin are sitting here looking over us right now, watching this go on, and they're super proud of everything that we're seeing here. So without further ado, I want to congratulate Valerie Cheer here with the Chris Roberts Memorial Student Scholarship Award.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Valerie Cheer. I'm a senior at Castaic High School, and it's an honor to join you all here today. My last name is actually Cheer, which is fitting for someone who talks about sports all the time. I'd like to thank the Southern California Sports Broadcasters for awarding me the Chris Roberts Memorial Scholarship, and I'm very thankful it didn't require any actual athletic ability, because I played 4 sports in high school, and I was terrible at every single one of them. And the bench and I were very close friends. But I always say, while I'm terrible at playing sports, I'm excellent at watching them. I fell in love with baseball after I attended my first Dodger game almost 10 years ago, and I've been watching the Dodgers literally every single day since. So I had a lot of fun this past season. A couple years ago, in middle school, I took my first TV classes and found my passion for filmmaking, reporting, and broadcasting. I continued to pursue film in high school, and in my junior year, I brought my love of film and my love of sports together when I started my high school's first morning show, just dedicated to only sports. I went on the sidelines of every sporting event at my school and made hype reels and news packages for every single team. I plan on attending a 4-year university in the fall with a degree in sports communication and want to work with pro teams and major sports networks. This scholarship helps me immensely, so thank you very much.
Time now for our first Hall of Fame induction of the day as we welcome in the late Frank Bull. And it has been a long time coming, believe me. In the old days, they didn't do things like we do them now, other than maybe still in the Midwest in state basketball tournaments, maybe. At the start, multiple stations, each with their own announcing crews, would each get a spot at the Coliseum to call SC or UCLA games, for instance. Later, the number of crews dwindled on any given game, which still might be broadcast on multiple stations. These announcers were paid by the major advertisers of the day, not by the station, not by the school. In the very early days, play-by-play men worked solo, mainly because they worked the games from the sidelines, dragging their cables with them as they called the action. Frank Bull was born in a small town in Kansas, but worked his way west at a young age and graduated from both Los Angeles High School and LA City College. Go Cubs. Before heading off to a career in banking, he later opened his own super successful advertising agency, one of the top advertising agencies in Los Angeles. When some of his clients were not happy with the broadcasts on a game day, he decided to step in and do it himself. He got into radio sports in 1928 and was later station manager at both KLAC and KMPC. From 1930 through 1948, over the course of nearly 20 years, Frank Bull worked for the Associated Oil Company in announcing both USC and UCLA home games on Friday nights and Saturdays at the Coliseum. It's estimated that he did nearly 300 college football broadcasts during his career. Then add to that college basketball, minor league baseball for the Angels and Hollywood Stars, track and field, rugby, auto racing at Gilmore Field, boxing at the Olympic and Shrine, tennis, swimming, the Olympics, yachting, wrestling, and golf on the radio. And you can see how he, along with Ted Husing, were considered the premier local sportscasters of the day. Quite a Renaissance man, Frank Bull was a singer with a big band. He owned a drive-in theater. He created the World Series of Jazz on the radio and had a huge collection of Dixieland and other jazz albums. He was on the board of the Coliseum Relays and the Los Angeles Olympic Committee. This guy was busy. He was a Mason. He was a member of the LA Press Club, the Wilshire Country Club, and the Football Writers Association of America, as well as being president of the Beverly Hills Kiwanis Club. For many, many years, he was the public address voice of the Rams. We have another one of those here with us today, Sam Lagana. Whose house, Sam? At the beginning, Frank used to call the games on the field, but at one game, players got tangled up in one of the other broadcasters' wires, and they got kicked out. They got banished to the press box, where he realized he could actually see the game better from there. You'd have to be pretty darn old now to remember Frank Bull on the air in Los Angeles. So, listen to this.
Top side, ball one. Bill Engel is umpiring behind the plate. Frisco Edwards on the bases. Here's the next pitch. That's a strike. Low curve ball. Here's the next pitch. The curve ball outside. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Wake is the batter. Here's the pitch by Thomas. It's a ball hit on a line right through Thomas. Oh, man. A base hit into center field, but what a base hit. No runs, 1 hit for Los Angeles in the second game of the doubleheader. Thomas is ready. Here's his pitch. The ball hit into right field. It's a base hit. Fern Bell gets it on the first top. Hughes stops at second base. 4-3 ball game. Angels lead in the top of the 7th. Here's the pitch. There goes the runner. The bouncing ball down the first base line. Sylvester gets it and handles it all by himself. Wackett is out. There goes Lowry to third base. They're throwing in there, and he's out. Lowry trying to go to third base is out, and the whole Angel team are rushing on umpire Edwards. They're rushing him. I mean, they're rushing him. The entire Angel team rushes out of the dugout on that play at third base. Umpire Edwards at the plate calling him out. The umpire Engel, the base umpire, didn't call it. I don't know why.
Those who were there and wrote about him in radio and TV sports columns of the day swore by his expertise and his compassion for the trade. He has a big following here today with us, and I'd like to invite them all up onto the stage. Please welcome the family and friends of the newest Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Famer, Mr. Frank Bull. Here to speak on the family's behalf, one of the grandchildren of Frank Bull, John Brady. Go ahead, John. Good to see you.
Yes. My mother was Sally, Frank Bull's youngest daughter, and we're all here. This is Christy, his first granddaughter from my mother's older sister, and Pat Lynch, and this is her. This is the matriarch of our family, Kathy, and we are all just completely This is a huge surprise, actually, for all of us. Very joyful day, though. We're all super proud, super proud to be part of his name and his legacy. And it means so much to us to be here. He was our grandfather, though. You know, a lot of us, he was a grandpa to us. You know, we all knew about his sports side. So I got to hang out with Merlin and Rosie Greer, Lamar Lundy, Deacon Jones. Those were my boys, you know. I was only about 8, you know, of course. But, yeah, it was crazy sitting next to Merlin Olsen having lunch, you know, seeing those massive amounts of food. But, yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, he taught me how to fish. We all lived down in Malibu, grew up on Nicholas Beach Road, and he had the house next door to my father's. And so there was a lot that people don't know. He was a complete pool shark who used to play with
cigars.
Yeah, and cigars, of course. But he was a fantastic grandpa that we all love and remember and cherish very much. Yeah, especially the three of us.
Yeah.
'Cause we're the oldest one.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
well,
Thank
this is
y'all.
very special.
Okay.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
everybody. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
As Joe Calla and some of the older guard here will attest to, that's a long time coming, right, Joe? Because I've been trying to get Frank Bull inducted into this Hall of Fame for a good 20 years, and we finally got it done. And I'm glad we did. Our first on-air award for calendar 2024 is voted on by you, the membership, is for radio color analyst. Having a good analyst is like having a best friend in the booth. Every time you go to work, you cover each other. You have a nice chat during the game with each other and with the listeners. You can disagree, but amiably. You share victories and you bemoan defeats together. They know your job and you know their job. A great partnership on the radio. They are able to describe what just happened in the game you're listening to in a very finite period of time, painting that picture for all to see in their mind's eye. I have had the great fortune of working with some of the best. And there was that one time in my career in Cincinnati where we did not get along at all, and that was no fun. The finalists for the Southern California Sports Broadcaster Radio Color Analyst of the Year are Sean Cody, USC Football; Jim Fox, Los Angeles Kings Hockey; and Rick Monday, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the winner, Radio Color Analyst, the award goes to, for the 3rd time in a row and 11th time in his career, Rick Monday of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Rick is not here today. He lives in Vero Beach, and we will accept this award on his behalf and make sure that he gets that award.
I'll start with the immortal words of Mel Allen. Hello there, everybody. My name is Ghazal Hassan. I'm the voice of CSUN basketball, among other sports, and I'm here to present 2 play-by-play awards. So the play-by-play is like the soundtrack. You know the classic lines, do you believe in miracles? Down goes Frazier. The band is on the field. And I think the play-by-play enhances a great moment, kind of like a soundtrack enhances a great movie. So we'll start on the television side with the Bob Miller Award for Best TV Play-by-Play. And the nominees this year are, as voted by the membership, Joe Davis, Bill McDonald with the Los Angeles Lakers, and Nick Nixon, the TV voice of the LA Kings. This year's recipient of the Bob Miller Award, Joseph, meet Robert. Joe Davis, Los Angeles Dodgers. So Joe is going to do introduce the winner of the color analyst on television.
Went with the Joseph. I was like, Mom? Thank you. Thank you. And it means a ton. And I've said this before, but one of the reasons it means a ton to be here is to see all these faces and know who I'm in the room with. I pinch myself every time when I come here and see everybody that I get to call up here. So thanks for letting me be part of your group. Gazal mentioned that I was going to give out the Color Analyst Award, and I was happy to do that when they asked me if I would. So much of what we do as play-by-play people is work with the analysts, right? So much of our job is to make them as good as they can be. And I tell people all the time, like, nobody cares what I have to say. They want to hear what Oral Hershiser has to say. So I do my thing, and I try to get out of the way for him. And any positive opinions that there are, I think, of play-by-play announcers, a lot of that has to do with them as a pair. And so, you know, this award right here is as much Oral's as it is mine. So that's my long preamble to get into the TV Color Analyst Award. And the finalists this year, Jim Fox with Kings, Oral, the Dodgers, and Stu Lance with the Lakers. And the winner is Oral Hershiser. I'll take it for him. And on behalf of Oral, I'd like to thank my partner, Joe. Thanks, guys.
So the next award is the Chick Hearn Award for Best Radio Play-by-Play. And there's a little bit of a nuance between television and radio. And they say, you know, radio, you're painting the picture. In TV, you're given the captions. And nobody painted the picture better than Chick Hearn, for everybody here in LA that knows that. I'm also a Bradley alum, since we're on that realm with Charley Steiner. So the finalists for this year are Pete Arbogast, USC football. Another football guy sitting right here, J.B. Long, Los Angeles Rams football. And I have a feeling there's a running theme that we're going to hear a lot of Dodger names. So Tim Neverett, Los Angeles Dodgers. Chick Hearn Award this year will be awarded to Pete Arbogast, El Presidente.
The fix. It's a fix. The fun thing about it is I don't get to know who I'm the president. They don't tell me anything. I don't know who wins until they announce it. That's good, because I'm nervous until then. And when I was up against Vin Scully and Chick Hearn for 1,000 years, I did not prepare any remarks at all. I was nervous when they said, and the winner is, for 1 second, thinking they're going to make a mistake and call my name, and then I'm messed up. I don't have anything to say. This time, however, I do a little, shortly. First of all, it's not easy to call a team that's 7-6. We were in every game. JB, we had a chance to beat Notre Dame. We had the ball on the 20-yard line with 3 minutes left and a chance to beat the Irish, team that went to the national final. And you guys were you sniffed the Super Bowl in the last couple of plays of the game against Philadelphia. It doesn't take much. And yet to say that, to beat Tim Neverett, who took over for Charley this year in the Dodger booth, and they win the World Series, and you guys go to the the second game to the NFC Championship, and we went 7-6. So that's a different kind of season, that's for sure. I have a great team, and I am so proud of us being the first group that has the play-by-play guy, the color analyst, Sean Cody, and our sideline guy, Jordan Moore, all nominated for our various awards. We're the first guys to ever have our whole team nominated for this. Jordan, I think that's pretty amazing. Matt Wells is the boss at Playfly. Rick Cutler's been umbilically attached to me for like 25 years doing games in the booth. Harry Ruiz and Alex Naveja, new kid. I tell you a long story about him, but I don't want to stand up here forever and do that. About how he got the job this year as the analyst on the Spanish language side. Sua Cravens, Cody Kessler on our pregame, postgame shows, Jason Schwartz. doing our post game as well. I know you're holding the highlights for me to get back to my car. I know you guys are, and I schmooze too much in the booth after the game to get up there. We have a great team, and I look forward to going to work every week with these guys because they're the best and they know what we're trying to do. So thanks. I was the Susan Lucci of this damn thing for so many years, and now I don't know what to do with them all. It's great. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Before presenting the 2024 Call of the Year Award, I will be announcing well in advance the finalists for next year's Call of the Year Award. Up first, we're going to have Joe Davis's call of Shohei Ohtani's 90th home run. We're then going to have Steven Nelson's call of Shohei Ohtani's 27 strikeout perfect game next year. And finally, my personal favorite, J.B. Long's call of Shohei Ohtani throwing the game-winning touchdown pass in the Super Bowl to himself, which I thought was... So stay tuned for that, but in the meantime, your attention to the video screens. Here are our finalists for the 2024 Call of the Year Award.
Moss in the shotgun, back at the 19-yard line. 13 seconds left in the game. Moss with the snap. Hands off to Marks. Up the middle. Into the end zone. Touchdown! They're going wild in half of this stadium as the Trojans are going to pull off the upset. How do you do?
On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way. Back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
The Yankees 3, the Dodgers 2. The bases are loaded, 2 out, bottom of the 10th inning. The scenario you dream about, Freddie is living. First pitch swinging, high fly ball, hit deep, back, and gone! Freddie Freeman channeling his inner Kirk Gibson. A walk-off home run in Game 1 of the World Series. A walk-off grand slam. They celebrate at the plate. Winners 6-3.
And the 2024 Call of the Year Award goes to Joe Davis, Shohei Ohtani, 50-50.
I'd just like to thank Ohtani. Guy's crazy.
Thanks, guys. And now we ask that you please once again turn your attention to the video screens as we take a moment to recognize our friends and colleagues who we said farewell to over the past year. They will always be in our memories and always be in our hearts. Thank you.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Why'd you have to leave so soon, yeah? Why'd you have to go? Why'd you have to leave me when I needed you the most? 'Cause I don't really know how to tell you without feeling much worse. I know you're in a better place, but it's always gonna hurt. Carry on, give me all the strength I It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again, when I see you again. How do I breathe without you? I'm feeling so cold. I'll be waiting right here for you till the day you're home. Carry on. Give me all the strength I need to carry on. So let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again, when I see you again. When I see you again, see you again. When I see you again.
I have a couple of perks being the Sportscasters president. One is calling all of our finalists and major award winners on the phone to tell them you're either up for or you've won an award. Nobody's unhappy when they get that phone call. In one case, in this one, every year the president gets to name one of his or her own people. And so, may I present my President's Award winner for 2025. It's named for former Presidents Stu Nahan and Chuck Benedict. It goes to Mr. Larry Stewart. A longtime and very important contributor to our profession as a sports writer, editor, and columnist for the old Los Angeles Herald-Examiner and then, of course, the Los Angeles Times for nearly 40 years. Larry was mainly known as the premier radio TV sports broadcasting columnist over the years. From a little burg in the Central Valley's San Joaquin Valley called Strathmore. It's a pretty farming community. It's not in the middle of nowhere, but I think you can see it from there. It's near the metropolis of Porterville. No? Halfway between Bakersfield and Fresno, a little east of the 99 and up the 65, as I recall. He started the local paper there and called in scores to the mighty Fresno Bee. Graduated from Fresno State back in '68 before embarking on his career. He was a member of this organization's board of directors in recent years. He's trying his hand at script writing these days, the story of the Strathmore High football team. Really, really not very good for a long time, many years. But somehow they found a way to win a state championship in 2017 and again in 2023. He's already authored a well-received book called My Up-Close View about his working with a who's who in radio and television sports broadcasting, all the while writing his columns with a keen eye on telling it the way it was, the way it actually was. No sensationalizing, believe it or not. No pot stirring. Larry didn't try to make news. He reported on the news. He didn't play favorites. He wrote about everybody the way they actually deserve to be written about. His best pieces, in my humble opinion, came when he wrote about things from the human interest side, showing people in our business as people in our business as much as for their on-air work. I'll tell you this, and those of us of a certain age know for sure, if you're sitting in this audience, that when we were in the young stages of our career, we could not wait until Friday morning to get the Los Angeles Times, because when it came out, by God, maybe our name was going to be in there. And sometimes it was in the little agate column right at the very end. And maybe you worked at a small station in Porterville, and you won a Division III Associated Press Award for doing play-by-play of some Bobby Sox softball game. But by God, Larry Stewart put it in the paper. It mattered to us. We hustled to get that Friday paper, and I hustled Larry every Friday for my entire career to read what you had to say about people in my business. No question about it. Larry had written all those columns. Before he comes up here, we have a special moment to share from one of his good friends. Jhani, if you would roll that clip, please.
Hello, friends. It's Jim Nance of CBS Sports. I just want to congratulate my friend Larry Stewart on the President's Award from the Southern California Sports Broadcasters. You know, Larry is just a giant in the industry of covering sports media. Truly, the best there ever was. And he was dogged in his reporting, and he did it with class, and he did it with integrity. And he is missed in that realm. There's never going to be another one like him. All those years with the Herald and 30-plus years with the LA Times. My up-close view, his book that documented that wild journey of his, it was an honor to provide a forward to that. And Larry, I wish I could be there today to celebrate you and your great career, but my best wishes and love to you and to Norma, and congratulations on this very special and deserved recognition.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of this year's Stu Nahan Chuck Benedict Southern California Sports Broadcasters President's Award, the best radio TV columnist we have ever had in this town, Mr. Larry Stewart.
Nice to see so many friendly faces. You know, I'm not a broadcaster, I'm a writer, so I probably won't be quite as smooth as some of the people up here. Great to see Roy Firestone, he'll be up here in a minute. But, you know, I did come from a really, really, really small town, Strathmore. It's one intersection, and Dodgers moved to LA in 1958, and I was already a sports fan. When the Dodgers came here in 58, I was like everybody else. KFI boomed up through most of California. They were 50,000 watts at night, and so I could listen to Vin Scully with my transistor radio. And when the Dodgers and Giants moved to California, I thought, you know, maybe someday I'll actually get to go to a major league game. Not knowing that I would somehow have a long relationship with Vin Scully and so many broadcasters. I came down to the Herald from Visalia, big city near Strathmore, so that was the county seat of Tulare County. And I'm going to mention I have a friend from Visalia here, but I'll mention a few people before I give up the microphone. But I came down in 1969, was bottom number 22 man on a 22-man staff at the Herald-Examiner, had a nightmare shift, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., and that didn't do much for my social life. Fortunately, I did, in 1971, I did happen to get out one night and meet my wife of 52 years, so that worked out. So, Bud Ferrillo, some of you remember Bud, real character. I would get in at 6 o'clock. There was a two-man staff that put out the Herald-Examiner sports section, and it was my job to make sure there was no typos in the paper. if some of you might remember the Herald-Examiner, there was a strike in '67, and they really didn't have proofreaders or anything like that, so there was a lot of typos. But if there was a typo in Bud Ferrillo's column, I really got both barrels. So it was kind of a surprise to me in May of 1973 when he said, hey, another writer, Dave Kirby, who's covering UCLA, was leaving the paper, and he kind of batted out a column on sports TV, and it was essentially what we call writing the log. He just wrote about the 2 or 3 sporting events that were going to be on TV that weekend. And so when Bud asked me if I wanted to do the column, I said, wow, yeah, sure. Do I get my picture in the paper? He says, you do if you do a good job. We're not putting it in the first few you write. So anyway, first thing I thought, well, I'm going to try something different right out of the box. You know, I'm thinking, what can I do to make it different? This is May of 1973, and there was a Laker playoff game that was televised both by Channel 5. Channel 5 was then the Laker station, with Chick Hearn and Lynn Shackelford. There was also ABC was televising the game as well, and that was Keith Jackson and Bill Russell. So I called a couple of TV stations and asked to get the ratings. I was wondering did LA watch Chick and Lynn Shackelford, or did they watch the ABC telecast? And I called a couple of stations, and you want what? We don't give out ratings. You know, that's not something we'd want in the newspaper. I finally found somebody that gave me the ratings, and Chick did win. It was like 11.5 to 11 or something like that. 22 rating, pretty good rating back then. They don't have ratings like that anymore with so many channels. But anyway, that started just a wonderful, wonderful journey of some 35 years of writing about broadcasters. And most of them cooperated because they knew the importance of what people said and opinions, particularly if they wrote for a newspaper, and particularly if they wrote for a major newspaper, an LA paper. So I think it was Marv Albert told me once that a few of them hired publicists right before their contracts were due. And it was, these publicists would work guys like me to write about their clients. I switched papers from the Herald-Examiner. I was promoted to assistant sports editor. I moved up from number 22 to number 2 in 1974. And Alan Malamud was named the sports editor, and I was named the assistant sports editor after Bud Ferrillo, who was doing radio for KBC. The paper says you can't do the radio anymore. There's a conflict about Sears advertising, and they weren't plugging the Herald. But anyway, they actually fired Bud Ferrillo. Bud called me and said, and the managing editor called me in and says, hey, Bud Ferrillo's gone. You're in charge to me. And I, really? You know, I was 27 years old. Bud Ferrillo called me and said, don't worry, the Herald can't publish without me. I'll be back on my job on Monday. Well, he wasn't, and the paper survived until I think it was 89, it finally folded. So I went to the Times, not as a TV columnist, as a layout guy. It was just a layout, you design the paper. And I wrote about a lot of stories about broadcasters, but the sports editor would not, at the Times, a guy named Bill Shirley would not give me the column. He says, he was from Arkansas. Well, we can't glorify the competition. But Bill Dwyer came in 1981, and I soon got my column, and the rest is history. I just good to see Joe Longo. We haven't seen each other in a while. And you are Joe, right? No. Paul McDonald, I'm sorry. You have a twin out there, yeah. Anyway, a few of my guests. I mentioned somebody from Visalia, Michael Young. Some of you know that. Michael played football and baseball at UCLA, spent 10 years as a wide receiver in the NFL, Rams, Broncos, that's where he really stood out, Chiefs and Eagles, and then he spent 9 years as a top executive with the Dodgers. He was the man in charge of raising revenue. He had a lot of titles. chief revenue officer, I think was one of them. But he brought in hundreds of millions of dollars to the Dodgers so they could sign the Dodgers that could win a World Series. He's now retired, lives up in beautiful Cambria, California, and he drove down specially just to make it to this lunch. Thank you, Michael. Michael's from Visalia, so that's the connection. His good friend, Terry Moore, good friend of mine, also football and baseball at UCLA. Longtime friend of mine, Denny Ryan. Legendary sports writer, Ron Rappaport. LA Times, LA Daily News, and then he really blossomed at the Chicago Sun-Times, written 6 books. His Ernie Banks book it's a must-read. Now I'll get to my family. I mentioned my wife. I've got my daughter there. I think my daughter Jill. She's in the entertainment field. But she got to meet a lot of sports casters when she was younger. And Charles Barkley loved Jill, you know, among others. Where's Jim Hill? We were just talking about this. We were at a Laker game. Jill was a student at UCLA then. I don't know, she was 18 or 19 years old. And in the press lounge, and it wasn't a big Laker game, and there was just a few people in the, I don't know, less than a dozen, maybe 10 people. Tiger Woods was in there. And so Jim Hill knows Tiger, of course. He knows everybody. And so he was going to fix Jill up with Tiger Woods. I guess I'm kind of glad it didn't work out. Her husband, Courtney, probably is glad, too. And my awesome 12-year-old grandson, Teddy Sanford. Teddy was born on November 27th, 2012. That November 27th is also Chick Hearn's birthday. So we got the call about 3:30 at night, but when I get up the next morning, about 8 o'clock, I decided to call Marge. He says, Marge, I got to tell you, our grandson was born today, and I know it's Chick's birthday. And Marge says, well, maybe he'll be a sports broadcaster. And you know what? He may be. He already knows 10 times more about sports than I ever did. You know, he gets all that information. He's a pretty good athlete, too. But, hey, I've talked enough. Thanks again. If anybody wants, my daughter made sure I didn't bring a copy of my book up here. But if anybody, thanks you, Pete, for mentioning the book. And if anybody wants to know a little bit more about how that, I wrote it during the pandemic. Good to see Sam Logano. Just a connection, one more thing that Michael he and John Elway and Stan Kroenke started the Colorado Crush of the Arena League. When I first met you, you were calling the Avengers of the Arena League. Both you and Michael Young have gone up from the Arena League, yeah. Anyway, thanks again. Please come up and say hi.
Hello, everyone. I am Mike Martinez. To echo a little bit what Larry said, I am also not a broadcaster, but I am a recovering one. Great to see everybody, and thank you, everybody, for supporting this organization, all the established broadcasters and the aspiring broadcasters and everybody in between. I'm here to announce the award for Best Spanish Color Analyst. The nominees are Ricardo Lopez from the Rams, Pepe Mantilla from the Lakers, and Fernando Valenzuela from the Dodgers. And the winner is Fernando Valenzuela. We lost Fernando this past year, obviously to our great heartbreak. Will Pepe Yniguez please come up and maybe say some words on Fernando's behalf? Pepe, would you mind coming up for Fernando? Just caught you. Thank you, Stephen Nelson, for pointing that he was over there.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Well, I was the luckiest man to spend a lot of years with Fernando. 23 years with calling the games. He was the caller for us. And Jaime and myself, we worked together 30 years. But with Fernando, when Fernando joined us, and I say 2002, 2001, he was a great guy. He was a funny guy. Most people never realize, like, he's a very shy guy, very, I don't know, very rare, but he was a great guy. He was, I mean, when he don't know you, he was a little shy. But as soon as he meets you, or he knows you, he was always joking to you, talking to you. He was a great and excellent co-worker in the booth. He always, I remember one time he told me, what am I doing here in the booth? I said, what did you did in the mound? He said, well, it was easily for me to pitch than come to call the game in the booth. I said, well, you know, it's all is a process. You will learn, step by step. And I remember when first year, like as 2001, 2002, he said, I think this will be my last season. It was the first season. It will be my last season. I want to retire. I'm not born to call games. I'm not born to do this. I'm born to play baseball. And I said, Fernando, but you cannot play anymore. Make the people happy to enjoy what you say, what you talk about the game. They want to listen to you. What do you know about baseball? Yeah, but it's very tough for me to do that. I prefer to go and at least close the game, not even start the game. Close the game, be the closer. He says all the time. He says, I don't know what I'm doing here. It is very tough for me. I say, which one was more tough things for you? First season as a broadcaster or first season as a baseball player? Oh, no doubt about it. And the booth is 1,000 times more tough than do baseball, and then they do the pitching in the game. In the World Series 2024, we met him. Last game we called together was in last year. Series was in LA. Last road trip with us was to Arizona, and then supposed to be Arizona and Anaheim. So he never made the too short season in Anaheim. So when we get back to LA, they sent us a text like say, okay, Fernando is will be indefinitely out of the booth for issues, ELC issues. So I never saw him again. I saw him again after that. Before that, it was a couple of games in LA, in Dodger Stadium, and he told me all the time, he said, I cannot do this. Yeah, come on, you can do it. You always told me the same thing, so I don't believe you, like you cannot do it today. Let's do it. And no, he was really sick now, and he told me one time, he says, I think this will be my last season. And 2024 was the last season, and I say, what do you will remember more for baseball as a player or as a broadcaster? He said, as a player, of course, not as a broadcaster. But if you go to the World Series, if Dodgers go to the World Series, I think he feels something and beat them Dodgers. Them Yankees. It would be great for me because that was what Fernando Mania was for 1981. And I said, don't say that. Come on, let's call the games and just win the World Series. And he says to me, no, I don't think I want to make it. So he passed in the postseason. And I always remember every game when Joe Davis called the homer, the grand slam. Steven Nelson and then Joe Davis in the 50-50 for Ohtani. But when Nelson called the grand slam, was Fernando there? He said, it reminds me the Kirk Gibson homer against the Athletics eggs. So let's get there. If you go to World Series, beat these guys. I want to beat them again. So it was 43 years later. 43 years later, and I say, man, I remember game number 5 in New York. It's 43 years apart from the 81 to 2024. If you invert the numbers, it's number 34. So, man, my skin was like so when the Dyers go down 5-0 in New York, second, third innings, I said, oh man, well, we want to beat them in LA, because I remember Dyers win the World Series in LA, always win the World Series outside. And I was thinking about that when in the third inning was when Gary Cole doesn't cover the first base, error in third base, and then come a lazy fly ball to the center field, and was Aaron Judge looking for the ball, go like this, and the ball go like this. Oh, Fernando was there. The speed of Fernando was there. He wants to win the World Series. So, man, for me it was beautiful, and for everybody, I think Fernando, his legacy will live forever. Viva Fernando. Thank you, everybody.
This was Fernando's 3rd consecutive award. The award for the best Spanish play-by-play, Adrian Garcia Marquez from the Chargers, Jose Mota from the Dodgers, and Pepe Yniguez from the Dodgers. And the award goes to Jose Mota.
What would we be if we didn't have some statistics? So, the top vote getter in any category here today, and we still have 3 to go, but we can give this away. The top vote getter in any category today was Fernando Valenzuela. The biggest runaway in any category between first and second place was separated by 25 votes, and the closest balloting came in the radio talk show category, where 3 votes separated all 3 finalists. Next, we induct another wonderful voice of Southern California into the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame, Lawrence Tanter. Born in Chicago, big fella played enough quality high school basketball to earn a scholarship to Dubuque University. There, he glommed onto the campus radio station, his work featuring a Sunday night jazz show. He came west eventually, joining KJLH Radio, where he, in his career, has interviewed over 500 recording artists and others in the business. So popular was he that he was asked to write liner notes for over 20 albums and has done voiceover work on thousands of commercials. Later, he became program director at KJazz. But of course, what we honor him here for, more than his wonderful predilection for the world of jazz, is that he is the second longest in NBA history and longest ever tenured public address announcer for your Los Angeles Lakers. He's been there for Showtime, 4 All-Star games, 16 Western Conference Finals, 9 NBA championships. And now, we all know a good number of guys in our business, in the old parlance, that have pipes. Pepe Yniguez, I think, is pretty good pipes, Pepe. Ohio State's Paul Keels, Colorado's Mark Johnson, the Pelicans' former Southern California Sports Broadcaster Award winner Joel Myers. Those boys have pipes now. Voices only dogs can hear. Lawrence Tanter has pipes. Best known for his delivery at the Forum and Staples and Crypto, thankfully, I think we can all agree Lawrence Tanter is not a cheerleader. He's not a screamer. But he lets us know when to cheer louder simply through the art of voice inflection and timing. Time out, Boston. And you know to go crazy. Sadly, he might be one of the very last of his kind in that end of the business. Now, you know how sometimes when you go to a concert, let's say you go to see a Billy Joel concert, and Billy starts to sing Piano Man. Everybody knows it. And he'll stop partway through the song, and he'll let the crowd sing the verse of Piano Man. And everybody sings. There's 20,000 people singing. And you must imagine Billy Joel sitting there playing the piano, just thinking, this is pretty cool. 20,000 people are singing my song. So we're going to try something here and now. You'll know exactly what to do when you get your cue from me, so be ready. Here we go. It's time out on the floor. And the dance squad comes out and does their routine for a minute or so. And the music ends, and the crowd applauds, and Lawrence Tanter opens the microphone, and with that set of pipes we were talking about says, well, that was pretty good. It says here in my script, if they screw up, we'll do it again, but we're good. All right, here for further studies and observations, and to bring him in, he is a lifelong friend dating back to schoolboy days in the Windy City. Please welcome Lawrence's good friend, Joe Williams.
Brought my black book. All the way over here, Lawrence is like, what are you going to say? I said, got it here, 70 years of it. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really proud to be able to speak words to my good friend Lawrence. We celebrated an extraordinary relationship, and we grew up in south suburbs of Chicago. We walked to school with a mile away in sub-zero weather. Before school would start, we'd get there early enough to shovel snow off the basketball court, get a couple games in before the bell would ring. From there, we would go after school another mile for basketball practice. That means that we had to walk 2 miles home. It would be so cold we'd walk backwards. Our parents were, they were working. In that backwards walk, we would stop at Stanley's store, get a jelly roll on the way home. At the same time, it was better than, say, that long walk whereby other guys, gals, ladies, and I'll stop there because I can't say the rest, Lawrence. I'll let you. Lawrence was a baseball player. We played Little League together. And Lawrence was a hind catcher or bear catcher. Today they just say catcher. I think he still holds the world record for the tallest catcher ever in Little League history. I have a little story to tell before I finish here. It was 1999. I had just moved here from Chicago. I was still a Bulls fan. But the Lakers were playing the Bulls for the NBA championship. You probably know the story. That's Michael Jordan against Magic Johnson. Bulls win the game. After the game, I run down to the floor. I'm jumping up and down. Bulls win. Bulls win. I run to the front of the table where Lawrence, the scores table, where Lawrence is doing his post-game stats, and I'm jumping up and down. Bulls, Bulls. Lawrence looked, security, come get this guy. Right about then, I thought, wow, I'm in Lakers land. I guess that's what friends are for, though. Lawrence called security off. In closing, I'd just like to say that I have had a friend for 70 years, one who was the most humble and I guess caring guy that you'd ever want to have a friend as. And before I bring him on, he has other friends here in the audience. In fact, some of them I've tried to convince, or Lawrence and I have tried to convince that the Renaissance was in Chicago. But no, Lawrence bleeds purple and gold. He's a Laker fan forever. And so now, here he is, the newest member of the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame, Lawrence Tanner.
Good afternoon, everybody. With humility and grace, I accept this award on behalf of my parents, my ancestors, and all the friends. Thank you very much. Pete Arbogast called me up several months ago and told me about this award, and it was really kind of shocking and kind of unusual. I hadn't thought about this. I remember I had been a member of 2 other Hall of Fames in my life. My high school, Thornton High School in Harvey, Illinois, and that was predicated on my radio career. And then in 1966, my high school basketball team won the Illinois State Basketball Championship. And if you know anything about high school basketball in America, Indiana and Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, that whole area is just a hotbed. In fact, the terminology Sweet 16 originated in Illinois. And we were inducted into the Illinois Basketball Hall of Fame in 1976. And we still hold the record for the biggest point disparity in Illinois high school basketball history. We average 76 points a game, our opponent 50. 26 points a game differential is pretty good. We were a powerhouse. But like Joe said, my basketball career began on the courts of McKinley Grammar School in Harvey, Illinois, where we shovel snow and play on 2 backboards made out of aluminum with chain nets. Chain nets have a certain sound, a certain ambiance that is like no other. And that's where I learned how to play the game that I love to this day. For the past 42 years, I've been the public address announcer for the greatest sports franchise in America, in my opinion, the Los Angeles Lakers. I have 9 rings. 1 more would be just ideal. We would tie Boston. I want to thank the Lakers, Jhani Buss, the whole Buss family. The man that hired me in 1982 is here this afternoon. I want to thank him. His name is Bob Steiner. Bob, will you stand up, please? When I approached the Lakers in the summer of '82 about the public address announcer job, I had no intention of being the announcer. My whole intention was to be a backup announcer because I had become a fan of the Lakers after moving from Chicago in 1970 when Kareem came to the club. So I called up Jamal Wilkes, who is one of my best friends of all time. I said, who do I contact? He said, here's a number, here's an address. I sent a tape, a resume. I had been in radio, I knew how to read copy, I knew the game of basketball, I read the rule book. So it was Bob Steiner, Josh Rosenfeld, Lon Rosen, and the greatest owner of all time, Dr. Jerry Buss, that gave me a shot in the fall of 1982, and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, there's no school to become a public address announcer. So the 2 people that really taught me my craft were John Ratcliffe, the official scorer, who had been with the franchise since they moved from Minneapolis. He taught me timing, the cadence, when to announce players going in, when to go out, etc. And the other person was the greatest play-by-play announcer in history, in my opinion, the great Chick Hearn. I went up to Chick one night and I said, Chick, give me some pointers. Well, how do I do this job? He'd been around the league, had been with the Lakers since he came from Bradley University, Peoria. And he gave me a piece of advice that I still apply to my craft today. He said, pick out one person in the audience that is blind, that can't see the game, but they can hear the game. He called it his bird's eye view. So every game for the past 42 years, I pick out a person in the audience that is blind, and I'm trying to talk to them to give them an idea of what is experiencing on the court. Obviously, baskets, obviously turnovers, obviously fouls. But that person relies upon me to give them a bird's eye view of the occurrence. So that was really some great advice, and I thank Chick to this day. He was really a marvelous man besides being a great, great broadcaster. I want to thank everybody that has been a part of this journey. The two biggest questions I get are, how'd you get the job? And I explain that. And when will you retire? Well, I'll leave that up to the Creator. I don't know. I take it one game at a time, 1 year at a time, and I try to do the best I can while I'm here. As Pete mentioned, I'm a public address announcer. I'm not a public address homer or a cheerleader. I'm an announcer. I try to give people an accurate analysis of what happens. And then, of course, I'm rewarded 4 or 5 times every game with 18 beautiful ladies that dance in front of me. Think about that. It's unbelievable. I wish my family were here today, but all my family is gone. My parents, my sister who passed away last year, my wife, and my son. They're all gone, but they're with me in spirit. But when one door opens, another closes. When one closes, another opens. I have some of the best friends a man could want in life that are here supporting me today. And I want to take a minute to acknowledge them, if you don't mind, because they're important to me. Drake and Denise are here. Drake is a world-class architect. Thank you, Drake. Thank you, Denise. She taught me how to do the salsa. Yes, you did. I remember. Howard and Janelle and their family, Travis, Sydney, thank you so much for being here. Howard is an entrepreneur, a world-class import-exporter, always in Singapore, Beijing, or Taiwan. Janelle is a musicologist of the highest level. Travis, Sydney, thank you so much for coming this afternoon. I really appreciate it. My main man from New York City, Chris Jones, is here today. Chris was the national director of jazz promotion at Warner Brothers for many years. And yes, the Renaissance happened in Chicago, didn't happen in New York City. I'm sorry. Thank you for coming, Chris. Appreciate it. Also, I want to thank Lyndon. Lyndon is a world-class animator, a creative artist of the highest level. Thank you for being here. He is a football savant. Any football question I have, I ask Lyndon. He tells me what's going on. Brandon is here, a world-class sculptor, and makes the best gumbo in America. Thank you, Brandon, for coming. Joe and Laura here. Joe, how do I characterize Joe? Joe knows how to do everything. He knows how to fix everything. He is a mechanical engineer. Laura is my political consultant. We interface every November about what's going on politically. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joe. Phil and Tracy are here. Phil is maybe the most generous man I know on the planet Earth. He has redecorated his garage and made it our man cave, where we watch football, baseball, and basketball all year round. And he is a baseball savant. He knows more than you know, Joe. He is unbelievable. But we argue about hit and run, bunting, stealing bases, the old school era. Tracy, his wife, is a beautiful lady, maybe one of the best cooks in America. I love your banana pudding. Thank you so much. Joe came up here and talked on my behalf. He's been my friend for 70 years. How many people have friends that long? We played Little League baseball together. We played basketball together. And he is a basketball savant. I know a lot about basketball, but Joe knows more about basketball than anybody on the planet Earth. He will tell you if a ball is underinflated 1/2 pound. He will tell you if the rim is off a centimeter. He used to come to Laker games 30, 40, 50 minutes in advance and watch the layup line. You get an idea about what's getting ready to happen in a basketball game when you watch the layup line. He has just been an unbelievable friend. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him, and vice versa. His wife, Kathy, is here, and she is indeed the best cook in America. She makes great lima beans and chili. Thank you so much, Kathy, for coming. Their beautiful daughter, Elise, is here. She works for a talent agency, CAA, and she's a marvelous human being. She is unbelievable. Thank you, Elise, for coming. Joe's sister is here today. She is very close to our family. She was unbelievably close to my late niece. They grew up together from kindergarten through high school, and she has been a part of our family for so many years. I don't have a written speech, as you can tell. I try to improvise. I try to acknowledge the creativity of jazz music, how I orchestrate my life. It's like jazz and basketball have this symbiotic relationship where, piano player can't do anything if the bass player is off and the drummer is not happening. Same thing with the point guard and the center. There's a symbiotic relationship with those two American art forms, and they are American art forms. We've given the world jazz and basketball, and I'm very proud to be a part of both of those entities. I don't know how long I'm going to continue to do this, so I'll just play it by ear. But like I said, I would love to get number 18. Man, I would love to get number 18. I don't know if I thank the Laker organization, Jeannie Buss, Tim Harris, Linda Rambus, Bill Burka, people I've known for years. Just an incredible, incredible, incredible family of entrepreneurs and business people that believe in family. So, in closing, I want to tell you that I'm honored. I want to honor all the other recipients this afternoon. Joe, Mr. Steiner, Larry, Roy Firestone. Wow, what a great broadcaster he is, man. And Frank Bull. Thank you so much for being a part of this afternoon with me. I'm honored. And from my nose to my toes, I say thank you.
That guy's got more cool in his little finger than I have in my whole body. Just the way he talks. Sounds like jazz. One more great broadcasting award to give out and a few more 2024s. Great day. I love these days. We get to see everybody. It's a lot of fun. Opening the doors to the Hall of Fame once again now, it's time to honor a legend in sportscasting and more. Into our Hall of Fame, Mr. Roy Firestone. Come on. A product of Miami Beach High School and the University of Miami, not the one in Ohio. Roy began his career in that beachside town at a young age. He fine-tuned his craft and eventually came our way in 1977, making his debut on Channel 2, where he worked on our TV sets until 1985 as a sportscaster and did more things than that on occasion. He joined up with ESPN during his time in LA, becoming one of the premier interviewers of our lifetimes, hosting shows like Sports Look and Up Close. where he interviewed anybody and everybody, and not just in the sports world, but all different walks of life. Roy has appeared in tons of shows, lots of movies, plethora of voiceovers, is a highly sought-after public speaker. And if you ever tried it, you'll know how tough it was if you did. He even does stand-up comedy from time to time. That's not easy. He got to play himself on The Simpsons, for crying out loud. How great is that? A former commentator for Sunday Night Football, a huge Miami Dolphins fan, also very much a diehard Baltimore Orioles fan. Roy, I thought they had a pretty good shot at it this year, and maybe they're going to continue the upward swing here, those O's. We'll see. A 7-time Television Emmy Award winner, a 7-time Cable TV Ace Award winner, and a member of the Southern California Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Here to say more about his friend is an entertainer you all know, also from the University of Miami, longtime talk show host on AM Los Angeles on Channel 7, 2 on the Town, KCBS, Good Day LA on Fox, and for a short while on Entertainment Tonight. Man, he's done pretty well for himself. So well, in fact, he has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. How about you? So, please welcome a man who was very kind to me when I needed some help very many years ago to introduce his friend into the Hall of Fame. It's Mr. Steve Edwards.
I come here not to praise Roy. Also, I want to apologize in advance if I make any pro-Semitic remarks. It is a thrill for me to be here for Roy, but also for me, because many years ago, right here in this spot, I received the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Newcomer of the Year Award right here. It was a thrill for me. It was a special thrill for me because I was 51 years old. To be a newcomer. I went back to puberty. It was just a wonderful thing. All right, Roy Firestone. I've known Roy forever. Roy's a kid from Miami Beach, Florida, and he heard an exciting thing happening across town. The world champion Baltimore Orioles had spring training. Roy was 14 or 15. He tends to lie about it, so I'm not sure which it is. But Roy said, I'm going to go there. I want to be part of that. And so he was a kid and a tough kid, and he grabbed the bull by the horns and had his mother drive him over there. They weren't interested in seeing Roy, so Roy just hung around. He just hung around, and ultimately he annoyed them enough that they gave him kind of a job. The first thing they asked him to do was to find the key to the batter's box. He still hasn't found it. If anybody could help him with that, it would be very nice. Roy, he really wasn't good at anything there. He wasn't good at the laundry, right, and the equipment. He got everything wrong all the time. But he was good at entertaining, and he was funny, and he did impressions. And at that point, the marriage of who Roy would become was complete. Sports, entertainment. He'd do his impressions. The ball players would gather around. They loved hearing what he had to say, and then he'd do a lousy job with the laundry. It didn't matter because he was entertaining. He made incredible friends there and learned a lot. He sat at the knee of Earl Weaver, the manager, who taught Roy so much. He taught Roy how to use the F word as a verb, as a noun, as an adjective, as an adverb, as a sentence, as a question, as an answer. And then when he ran out of that, he would use the word mother and tie it together. And I'm not going there. He made an incredible friendship with Jim Palmer. To this day, they're very, very close friends. And when when Jim heard that Roy was getting this award, he said, I'm not coming. He also made friends with, if a Jewish boy from Miami Beach could have a patron saint, Brooks Robinson, who remains the North Star for Roy to this day. So all of this is happening, and then Roy got into broadcasting in Miami. And he had two distinctions, then and now. He was the youngest person ever to be hired to do sports in Miami television. The second distinction was he was the youngest person ever to be fired from doing sports in Miami. I think he had just started shaving. I think he was 23, right, when you were fired? So this was the worst moment of his life. He thought his career was over. He was literally on the beach in Miami Beach. And somehow or other, through fate, through talent, through luck, through an agent who sold ice to Eskimos, Roy went from the backwaters of Miami television to Los Angeles, to Channel 2, to KNXT, in a department with Jim Hill and Brett Musburger. Wow. This was the kid who was fired at 22 and a half. At 23, he's on the air in Los Angeles. And you all know about a lot of the stuff he did. On the air, he did his pieces. He did very humane pieces. Sportscaster said about Roy cared more about the player than the game. Roy was described as our program director as a sports humanitarian, which in those days meant you worked weekends. Roy was so unique that in the early days of cable television, he got hired. I mean, who can forget a sports look on USA television? Who can remember it? The kind of show he did there, they had no resources, no money. So the kind of show he did was like interviewing Dean Beeman for 2 hours in a 7-Eleven parking lot, and Dean had to pay for the coffee. So that was for 2 hours. But it caught the attention of the ESPN, and then history was made. Roy started doing his show on ESPN, unlike anybody else in history. It is not true that everybody cried who came on the show, just most of them. And some of them cried even before they got there. It's not true that it was in the contract that they had to cry before the first commercial break. It was the second commercial break. Roy's success was unique. He was called by one of the great sports writers in American history, Jim Murray, not the best sports interviewer on television, but the best interviewer on television. His impressions were incredible. He did a wonderful Howard Cosell impression. He did it to Howard Cosell, who said, "Stop." He's had a remarkable run, and I can't go through all the things that he's done because I'd be here all day. The movies he was in, the shows he was on, scoring on Letterman, scoring on The Tonight Show, all of those kinds of things. But most of all, the reason I'm really proud to be here to do this is I've known this guy more than 4 decades. I don't know anybody more compassionate than Roy. His sports foundation that he works for, and a lot of you folks are here, raised millions of dollars to let kids who might not have the opportunity to get involved in sports and all that brings. He never says no to a charity. He never says no to a friend in need. And that's really why I'm here and why I love Roy Firestone most of all. After a while, the impressions can make you crazy, but this stuff, this gift he has in his heart is the best thing of all. So I'm very proud to introduce the newest member of the Southern California Sports Broadcast Hall of Fame, my buddy, Roy Firestone.
Thank you very much, everybody. I have a little bit of a cold today, not catching, but it's a little hoarse, but bear with me. I want to say something way out of left field, but I've always wanted to say this. I don't know how many people know about Pete Arbogast off mic, but he's done something that really, to me, defines a great human being. when people were terminally ill, most of them, if not all of them, he didn't even know. And those people had no family. Peter Arbogast would go to hospitals and hold people's hands as they died. This is a great man. How about a nice hand once again? I'm so humbled to be here today and honored to be here today. I do want to acknowledge my buddy who really got me started in LA, who has been such an instrumental part of my career, Mr. Jim Hill, once again. Jim. Jim Hill. I worked for 8 years with Jim. We had a lot of fun, a lot of championships, a lot of titles. Steve mentioned the WSA group, West Coast Sports Associates. I was honored to be the sort of the point person. The name on the award is the Roy Firestone Award. This year will be our 30th year of giving back to inner city sports programs, at-risk kids, underserved communities. We've raised well over $4 million. I want to thank all the WSA folks for being here. Nice hand for them, too. Pete gave me permission to tell a couple of quick stories, if it's okay, because there's been a lot of stories. I've been at this business. The first day of my work ever on television was Carlton Fisk's home run against the Reds in the '75 World Series. That was my first night. We went on in Miami at 1:30, which was good because I didn't want anyone to see me in my debut. But that was my first day. It's been almost exactly 50 years in broadcasting. And I'm still only, 48 years old, which is pretty good. I have to tell you a couple of quick stories. I've interviewed 55 or 5,600 athletes, broadcasters, entertainers, you name it, all kinds of people in all walks of life, as P was so nice to say. But my all-time favorite was Charles Barkley. And I had a chance once to do something about diversity in the workplace. So I went to the Houston Rockets, and we found Hakeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley together. We sat them down together. Now, Hakeem is a very soft-spoken guy, highly religious, thoughtful, reflective, a gentle soul. And I said, Hakeem, Charles, this is an offbeat question, but it's something I always wanted to know. Do you believe, gentlemen, you're going to heaven? Well, Olajuwon thought for a second. He had this beautiful Lagos Nigerian voice. Well, I believe in my service to God is pure and is consistent with my contributions to society and the goodness of all things. I believe I will go to heaven. Thank you very much. I said, that's nice. Charles, are you going to heaven? He goes, I don't know, but it's going to be a close vote. Charles, he was one of our honorees just a few years ago, too. Great, amazing guy. Couple of quick stories, and I'll get off, because I'm so honored and so tickled to be here today. 1989, Mike Tyson's fighting Michael Spinks in Las Vegas. Not Las Vegas, Atlantic City. And I flew across country to be at this damn thing, and it lasted 90 seconds. 5.5-hour flight, hotel check-in with the snafu, took another 4 hours to get registered. I go to the fight. I haven't even had a Coke yet, and it's over. But this is the story, and it's a true story. Everybody who's in the broadcasting business knows if you have to get a soundbite or a clip or something in the press room, you run like hell at the end of the event to get a good seat. So Mike Tyson knocks out Spinks in 90 seconds. And I see this, and I know there's going to be all kinds of people making a big deal out of it. But I didn't know is Mike Tyson didn't wait around in those days. He just got out of there. So I'm running to the press room, and and I see it's the end of the hall. I'm in the hallway, and I hear a commotion behind me, and I turn around. It is Mike Tyson with 4 of his handlers who just stormed out of the ring after the knockout. And he sees me, and I see him, and Mike Tyson goes, "Oh my God, it's Roy Firestone."
Roy Firestone, I can't believe it. Come over here for a second. He just knocked this guy dead not 3 minutes before. I said, Mike, congratulations. Oh, don't worry about that. I got to tell you something. Like I was at a freaking mall or something. He goes, I was watching your show last week. I have to. Hey, man, Mike, we got to go. No, let me just tell him. I was watching your show last week. You had your father on. He knew a lot about boxing. I was very, very impressed. He knew about Betty Leonard. He knew all the great champions. Would you give him my very best? I said, sure, Mike. My dad hated Mike Tyson. In those days, no cell phone. I ran to a payphone to call my father at 11:30 at night. Dad, I'm at the Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, let me tell you about this crook, this bum, this felon. He belongs in jail forever. He's a scum. He's a terrible human being. I said, yeah, Dad, but you got to hear this. He just told me he saw the show you were on, and he thought you were terrific and insightful and knew a lot about the sport, and he gave you his very best wishes. Long pause. My father goes, well, you know, he is one of the great champions we've ever had. That's a true story. So many things, so many places I've been and so many experiences I've had. Steve and I kid about this. I've written 5 books, but my book title for the next one is going to be Who Gets This Life? Because who gets this life? I've had a chance to interview everybody I've ever idolized on television, for record and off record. I got to perform in Las Vegas with Lou Rawls. I got to do all these amazing things. It ain't no humble brag, folks. I am the luckiest guy who ever had a microphone in his hand, and that is the truth. And I'm super grateful for that. But I want to leave you with one last story, because it is a story that is also true. It happened to me in Miami in 1975. My very first TV interview ever was Muhammad Ali. And it was 75. He had just won the Thrilla in Manila over Joe Frazier. And we decided, I'm 21 years old, 22 years old on TV, and I'm in awe. And we have a camera crew. And we decided to follow Muhammad Ali throughout the day and into the evening. It was going to be a day in the life of the champ. So we're following around, and Ali was still pretty, you know, he was in pretty good shape at the time. He could speak, and, you know, as we know, later on, Parkinson's took all of that away. But Ali kind of took a liking to me because he had seen me over the years with a Bell and Howell camera filming him at the Fifth Street Gym for the local stations. So he said, come with me. And I went with 3 or 4 members of my crew and members of Ali's entourage. So we go to a nursing home in South Beach, Florida. It's Friday night. It's probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Most of these people that we went to see were in their 90s and above. There was one person who was 107 years old. So Ali goes into this room, and this is right after the Thriller Mill. You know how Ali was. I am the greatest. I'm the prettiest. Can nobody whoop me? What is my name? A couple of the elderly people went, aren't you Clay? And I went, oh, God. No. Anyway, so was not a great moment. I start walking with Ali to another room. And he starts in with the Ali bombast. I'm so pretty. I'm the greatest. Can nobody whoop me? What is... And he stops, and he sees there's only one man in the whole room. And he was an elderly black man in a wheelchair. And Ali decides not to do the bombast. He walks up to him, and he goes, hey, old man, do you know me? Old man had nothing to say, looked straight ahead. I was told later he didn't hear well, couldn't see well, hadn't spoken much in weeks, didn't eat very much. Ali tries it again. Hey, old man, what's my name? Nothing. So we started walking away, walking this way. And this old man was sitting by that bay window in a wheelchair. And as we're walking, an amazing thing happened. It was almost like a light bulb went off in this guy's head. And all of a sudden, something triggered something in this old man. And the old man turned to Ali and said, hey, what? Hey, mister, I know who you are. You know who I am. Who am I? You're the greatest of all time, man. I waited my whole life to meet you. Every time I was growing up, the champ was the greatest. Can't nobody ever come that bad from the champ. Nobody ever disrespect the champ because you're the greatest of all time. You are the greatest, and I love you, champ. Well, everybody in the room's got tears in their eyes. Ali has tears in his eyes. So Ali goes up to this old man, puts his arm around him, and goes, "You right. I am the greatest of all time. Tell everybody in this room, what is my name?" The old man goes, "Joe Louis." True. Now, I don't know about you, but you see these entourages, they don't want anything bad, negative to be said about their guy. So they ran, "Hey, old man, that's not Joe Louis. You know who that meant?" Ali stopped him. He stopped him. "What are you doing?" "He said your name." "I know what he said my name was." "You're wrong. Come over here." I'm watching this, and I see Ali kind of criticizing his entourage. "How dare you? How dare you criticize an old man? How dare you correct an old man? A man who just said his dream came true because he got to meet the champ. And in his mind, the only champ that ever mattered to him was Joe Louis. Well, I got something to tell you, fellas. His dream came true. And you know why?" Then he said it. "Because tonight, my name is Joe Louis." What a beautiful moment that was. And I thought about that. And I thought about it, and I have thought about it for 50 years. And what he was doing in that little moment, and it was a small moment you would never see in the newspaper, Muhammad Ali was telling us something about what it is to be a champion. A champion's not only defined by wins and losses or money earned. The true essence of what a champion is a human being's ability to uplift another human being. That's it. As far as I'm concerned, you can be the wealthiest person in the world. If you don't uplift other human beings, you don't mean much to me. Ali was telling us what George Washington Carver once said: how far you all go in your life depends upon your ability to be tender with the young and compassionate with the aged and tolerant of the weak and the strong and those who strive, because someday in your life, you will have been all of those things yourself. That's how I feel about my career. I've had my ups, I've had some disappointments. The day that Jim Murray wrote that wonderful column about me saying what a great interview it was, that's the day I was let go by ESPN, that same day. It just shows you how fleeting it all can be. But I've had an amazing, amazing run, and there is no greater friend in my life, no better than brother, better than a father, better than a rabbi, than my friend Steve Edwards. I mean that sincerely. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the incredible ride, the adventure of being a broadcaster in this market and other markets too, but this market mostly defined me and had so many great people that helped pave the way for me. I will never forget it. With humility and I hope some grace, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Congratulations, everybody. And you guys, the legends in this room, it's amazing. We have so much talent here. We're so blessed in this market. But we have 3 more awards to give out. And if you're wondering why I am handing out these final 3 categories, it's because as a longtime network anchor, I know how to get out a lot of information, important information, in a very short amount of time and hit the post. So we are going to start with an award named for one of my mentors, Gil Stratton. This is the Best Anchor Staff Award. And our three finalists are the team from KCBS KCAL 9. Yeah. The team from Dodgers TV and Sportsnet. And the team from Lakers TV and Sportsnet. And the Gil Stratton Best Anchor Staff Award goes to the team from Dodgers TV and Sportsnet. This award goes to, this is the Best Radio or TV Sideline Reporter Award, and the three finalists are Wayne Cook from UCLA football, Jordan Moore, USC football, and Kirsten Watson, Dodgers TV. And the award goes to Kirsten Watson, Dodgers TV. And finally, this is for the Irv K's Best Radio Talk Show Award. And as Pete mentioned, the three finalists in this award were separated by 3 votes total between the three of them. 3 finalists are Mason in Ireland, 710 ESPN in LA. Trojan Tailgate, 710 ESPN LA. And David Vassay, Dodgers, AM 570. And the Irv K's award goes to Mason in Ireland, 710 ESPN LA.
It has been great to have everybody here to celebrate with us once again. We hope you come back, but mostly we hope you join us for some of our outings this year. And above all, please become a sustaining and voting member, because the money goes again to the Chris Roberts Memorial Student Scholarship Fund to honor his legacy. Before you leave, in just a minute, Pepe and Jim and Joe, if you're still here, we're going to meet with Lawrence and Roy. We're going to take a group picture with all the Hall of Famers who are here. And we always do that right at the end of the show. Thank you, everyone. Take care of each other. We'll see you here next year. Thanks.